What's up? What's up? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new season of the Michael Balko Show. Today, I am excited to kick off season 4 by announcing my guest. He's a former 4-star recruit from Allen, Texas, a second-team All-SEC running back for Arkansas, and a current running back for the Washington Commanders. Jonathan Williams, how we doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here.
I'm
Thanks for
glad
having
to
me.
I'm glad to have you, brother. I'm glad to have you. Just wrapped up a season. We're feeling good, feeling good. But before we go too much further, we got to rep that area code, man. Tell us about your hometown of Allen, Texas. What makes it so unique?
Man, it's a great place, man. I know a lot of people have watched Friday Night Lights. I mean, it's the closest thing to it. It's a whole city that everybody loves football. The whole city closes down on Fridays. Everybody goes to the football game. So it's like a religion out there.
That's dope. That's dope, man. I love cities like that because here in Erie, Pennsylvania, it ain't like that. It ain't like
Yeah.
that. It ain't like that at all, bro. It ain't not
I mean,
even.
my high school, man, I got a lot of pride in it. I argue with a lot of guys in the locker room about, who has the best high school, who would have won, and this and that. But it's hard for people to compete with Allen. I mean, we got somewhere around 10 guys in the NFL right now. Got a crazy $60 million stadium, so they put their money where their mouth is, and they love football out there. So it was fun going there.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And one of the things I love to do is I love to look back at like old, just absolutely stacked like high school squads and like see
Yeah,
who's in the league now, bro. I'm gonna have to do some research on good old Allen, bro. I'm gonna have to.
yeah. Kyler
All
Murray, Kyler Murray is a representative.
right,
We have a couple guys. Jalen Guyton, he's out there in with the Chargers.
Jonathan
Dre
Williams.
Little, Jonathan Williams. Cedric Ogbuehi, he's an offensive lineman with the Jets. So we have quite a few guys. We got some good guys.
There's some dogs. In high school, we're gonna talk about it. In high school, you racked up more than 3,500 rushing yards, scored 39 tutties. You were also a 4-star recruit. Tell us about your recruiting process as a whole. How you stood out to college coaches at such a young age, and why you ultimately decided to take your talents to Arkansas.
My recruiting story was crazy. I mean, probably like everybody else's. Um, but I made it on varsity my sophomore year, and I got hurt within the first couple games of the season, so I missed my entire sophomore year. So I just remember going into that off season and working my butt off. I remember telling the coach like, "Hey, I'm gonna run for 2,000 yards next year. I'm telling you, I'm gonna do it next year." Like I was determined because I felt like I had already kind of was a step behind everybody because I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to my sophomore year. So I went into my junior year. We have a really good team, good offensive lineman, good quarterback. The quarterback that I played with at the time, he went to Alabama. We had good receivers, so we had a stacked offense. So I wasn't the only person on the team. Um, um, so I had a good year that year. Started getting recruited, and at the time, it was before A&M and Missouri went to the SEC. So they were in the Big 12, and I grew up in Texas. So I was a Big 12 guy. I liked UT and OU and A&M, and I used to watch all those games. So I grew up always wanting to play in the Big 12. So I'm from Texas, thinking that I'm going to get offered from UT and A&M and Texas Tech and all these schools. But initially, the only school that offered me from the Big 12 was Missouri. And so I got Missouri, but I got a lot of SEC offers. I got a lot of Big 10 offers, Wisconsin and Michigan and Michigan State. But nobody in the Big 12 was really offering me. And so I committed to Missouri because I was like, okay, I'm going to play against all those Big 12 teams that don't want to offer me. And then they end up going to the SEC. So at the time, I'm thinking, I don't really want to play for Missouri in the SEC. Like, I wanted to go to Missouri, and it was a good school, but I really wanted to play in the Big 12. So if I'm going to play in the SEC, I don't know if Missouri is the school that I want to go to. So the way that we do it at Allen is that our coaches try to make the commits keep their commitment. So whenever you commit to a school, they don't let you receive any of the letters that the school send you. Like you're done. When you commit to a school, you're done. You don't get the letters. People can't still recruit you. So I had been committed to Missouri for a couple months at that point. So I actually messaged um, the running back coach at Arkansas at the time, um, Tim Horton, and so I messaged him and was trying to make sure that if I decommitted from Missouri, would I still have a standing offer and he pulled up at my school like the next day. Comes to my school. They called me out of class. I meet with them. They had a game against Auburn that following Saturday. And so I scheduled my official visit, went up there, enjoyed it, loved it, met the guys. I thought that was the place for me. So shortly after that, I decommitted from Missouri and committed to Arkansas. And I mean, I'm here now, so I think that was a good choice for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually wild. That's actually wild because a lot of people don't realize out there listening that like every little minute detail plays a huge impact in where you're going to take your talents, like a lot of dudes it's coaching, like if the coach that committed them, if they dip, like they're dipping too. Like they don't want to play for a different coach, And in your case it was different. It's like you wanted to play in the Big 12 and Missouri was there, but then they moved to SEC, so you just said, "All right, bro, I'm gonna go run it up in Arkansas real quick."
And then they had Bobby Petrino. I was always, when I was 6 years old, I told my dad I wanted to go to the league. So him being the former NFL coach, that helped, in my recruitment as well, because I already knew that the offense that I would run would be NFL, pro scheme, and it would just kind of start tailoring my game for, ultimately the NFL. So even though I didn't get to play for him because of everything that happened, in his situation, but I don't regret going to Arkansas at all. I love my time there for sure. If I could do it again, I'd go back.
Yeah, you balled out too. You balled out. You did your thing from the jump, literally, bro. You saw playing time as a freshman. So what for you, was the biggest transition from high school to college football?
The biggest transition from high school to college?
If you had one. I know a lot of dudes that I've had on this show, they're just like, man, listen, I just went there, did my thing, and it was fine. It's just like a step up, really.
Really, I don't really know, to be honest. I just played football, It was different, because you go from being the guy to going to being the freshman, and now you're not the guy. And some people still are the guy as a freshman, but when I was there, I had big bros there, Niall Davis, Ronnie Wingo, Dennis Johnson. So I was behind those guys initially, and I still got some playing time, still got, a couple plays in here and there, but those were the guys, though, and they were ballers. But they showed me the way, though. They definitely led the path, showed me the way. And, a lot of the stuff that they taught me as a freshman is still stuff that I use today, still stuff that helped me get to year 7 in the NFL. So I still stay in contact with Niall Davis all the time. He always is checking on me, making sure that my body's feeling right, making sure that I'm doing all the right things. He was big on keeping your body fresh. He was big on recovery and stuff like that. So those are the things that, as a young guy, I started adding to my game off the field to help me stay on the field. So
let's talk about 2014. Jonathan Williams, Arkansas.
2014.
2014. My man, we erupted for 1,200 yards, 5.6 yards a carry, 12 tutties. And then you gifted Arkansas fan base on Christmas Eve following that season on your YouTube channel that you were going to return to college. So we hear all the time from like the big analysts, half of them hadn't even played a lick of football in their life, so they don't usually know what they're talking about too much. But we hear all the time, from like Mel Kiper, Skip Bayless, dudes like that. Like if you have a big year, you need to declare. What led to your decision not to declare? Which I respect, by the way. I'm a big, go back to school guy, get that degree, all that. But what, in your instance, was the reason that you decided to go back to Arkansas and give it another go?
I think for everybody, it depends on their situation. For me, it was different because, maybe I overthought it for sure, but not really. If I didn't get injured, it would have been a perfect, it would have played out great. But what I was considering was that whenever you get drafted, it's slotted. So it's not like you get drafted and you start negotiating a contract. You can negotiate how much is guaranteed or not, but it's slotted. So wherever you get picked, that's how much money you're gonna get. It's not a base of, it's based off of the draft pick. So in my mind, I was thinking, well, if I'm gonna be locked into a four-year deal, I want to get locked into the most I can get, And so the word that I was getting was that if I come back and have the same year as my junior year, that I could potentially go late first, second round, a higher draft pick. So I'm like, okay, I'll get drafted higher. I used to do everybody does summer school, but I used to take extra classes in the summer so I could get even further ahead. So I only had one class to graduate. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm really going to be I'm gonna be an NFL player next year. You know, I got one class. That class was a class where I just had to write a 20-page paper and I'll talk to the professor throughout the semester. So it really wasn't a class. So all I was going to be doing was playing football, and I'm like, man, I can ball out, get drafted even higher, graduate. It'll be perfect. It didn't work out that way, as people know. A lot of plans that you make, it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to, but it always works out. You can't always, it doesn't always go according to plan, but it's still, working out for me. So, yeah. That was really the whole point. And I thought we had a really good team too. We finished my junior year off pretty well. We had a lot of guys returning. And at Allen, I think I lost maybe 3 or 4 games in my whole high school career. So I was used to winning. So I was like, man, I want to go out on top. I felt like we really had a chance to win the SEC that year. We had a lot of injuries that year that kind of slowed us down, but I thought that was going to be a good year for us. It still was a good year. Still was a good year, to be honest, but it could have been even better if everybody could have stayed healthy.
Yeah, and just to give context, you had that huge 2014 year splitting carries with your boy Alex Collins too. So like y'all were just that 2-headed backfield, bro. Now both y'all in the league. Man. Both y'all in the league now, just doing your thing. It's dope, bro. It's dope. I love it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people also that are listening don't always realize that, like, you're catching wind, when you're in college, like, and you're a draft prospect, like you're catching wind of like where you're projected to end up, like what round you're projected to end up, kind of like you just touched on. And so, yeah, I mean, in your instance, it would have literally been perfect because
it would have been perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been perfect, but it's okay because a little adversity, you never hurt anybody. That's what I like to preach.
No doubt.
So you wound up, you suffered that foot injury during camp that year. It kept you out the whole 2015 season. How tough was that to go through, and how did you overcome that adversity?
Man, it was tough. It was tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna act like it just was a breeze to get over because I did that with the mind of being able to get drafted higher, being able to help my family out financially, and now you get in a position where you're kind of doubting God. You're just in a like, man, why did this happen to me? You know what I mean? Why? Dang, am I? It's just not going the way that you planned it. And just, like you said, adversity helps people. It makes you stronger. And that's what it did. You know what I'm saying? I had to lean on God. I had to realize that things don't always go your way, but they're still going your way. Just because it's not the way that you planned it doesn't mean that it's not going in your favor. So that lesson that I learned from that is still something that's going to help me throughout the rest of my life, but yeah, I mean,
you were almost able to use kind of like that year almost to just literally prepare your body for the NFL. I mean, obviously the foot injury sucks, dude, especially as a running back and all of that. Like having a foot injury is a tough blow, but the rest of your body's not taking those blows. So almost it kind of adds a little bit of length to your career. You're able to, do your thing.
I like the perspective, but I don't know about that.
Hey,
it's still an injury, and
yeah,
you never want to have surgery. You never want to have to go through rehabbing because, whenever you have an injury, it's not like you can come back. Well, I mean, you try to, but in the reality of it, it's hard to come back better than you were initially. You're trying to get back to where you were. You're trying to get back to, okay, can I cut? Can I? And then you have to grow. So it almost is a 2-year process, because even going into my rookie year, my foot still wasn't really healed. And I remember going through the whole process. It was tough, man, because my foot was swell up all the time, and I didn't really want to tell teams that my foot was swelling up, that my foot was hurt. I go into pro day, actually, and the whole week leading up to pro day, I couldn't even work out because my foot was so swollen. So I'm like, man, am I gonna be able to even do pro day? I don't want to tell teams that my foot is sore and my foot hurts and this and that. So I didn't even get to train leading up to pro day. I go out there and I'm running my 40 with my cleats taped, my cleats spatted because my foot hurt. You're supposed to be trying to be as light as you can, and I'm adding tape to my foot. So it was definitely a tough process, man. But my family was supportive. They helped me throughout the way. my agent pushed me, through a lot of workouts that I didn't feel like my foot was ready to do, but he pushed me to do it, and ultimately that paid off. So I got a lot of good people in my corner that helped me get to this point for sure.
That's awesome. And you were able to participate in the NFL Scouting Combine too, and wound up being selected in the 5th round of the 2016 NFL Draft. What was that moment like for you? I know that you told me earlier in the show that it was your dream, man. You told people that you were going to make it to the league, and then here you are, bro, getting drafted in the 5th round by the Buffalo Bills. How was that?
It was a good time, man. And to be honest, and to be real with you, that's probably one of the moments in my career that I regretted the most and how I handled it. Just because people can get what they want in their minds. They can want it so bad that when it doesn't work out the way that they want it to, they just aren't grateful, And I wanted to, as a kid, I always dreamed of going in the 1st round, 2nd round, and that's what I thought I was going back to college for. So I was still so stuck in that, of like, oh, I was supposed to get drafted high. I missed the season. I hurt my foot. I still want to get drafted that high, and I was just so worried about the wrong things at that time, being a young kid. And, I was worried about, oh, I didn't get drafted high enough. I got drafted in the 5th round, but I got drafted, and I didn't play the year before. And I wasn't as grateful as I should have been. I had my mom and my brother and my sister and my aunt down. I had a couple of friends down, and it was something small, not a big event, but it was the people who have always been behind me my whole life, my whole career. And to share that moment with them and not be as, actually I warmed up afterwards, after everybody was excited and screaming, but in the moment, I was still like, what round is this? And before I got drafted, I was walking around moving, I still haven't got drafted. And, I just wish that I was in the moment more, and not worried about how high I got drafted or how low I got drafted, and just enjoyed my family, enjoyed the opportunity, because that only happens once. And it doesn't happen to everybody, And so the only thing the biggest regret that I have in my career was when it first started and how I took that moment, because I feel like I could have been a lot more excited, which eventually I was, but just in the moment, it just, like I said, I wish I would have been more in the moment and just been more grateful initially.
Yeah, man. And I mean, it all comes with it, because you're right. You're investing everything that you've done your whole life into that moment. So I totally get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to deal with, and a lot of people can't. And a lot of times that's why people's careers don't pan out the way that they want. But you've proven that you've been able to handle it. You almost added it as a chip to your shoulder, because you're out here year 7. You feel me?
No doubt. It's definitely a chip. You always got to have that chip on your shoulder,
Yeah.
So for sure.
Most definitely. What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Honestly, it was in Buffalo after actually my rookie year. And growing up, middle school, high school, I wore number 5 because I wanted to be just like Reggie Bush. I used to love watching. I used to watch his highlights every day. I used to go outside and try to cut back reverse field and do all practice the moves he did. So we're in camp, and I hear that we signed Reggie Bush. So we go into our meeting rooms, and Reggie Bush is right in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Reggie Bush. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to look at him, then turn away and not look, make it seem like I'm staring. I'm like, man, he probably thinks I'm lame, like, who is this kid staring at me? But that was just a great experience, man, to be able to talk to him and be in the same locker room as him, pick his mind. He was a great dude, and obviously we became friends after that. But he was a great dude, and I think for me, that was just my welcome to the NFL moment. Like, man, I'm really out here with Reggie Bush, and I feel like a lot of guys have those moments with Reggie, just because he was just an icon growing up as a kid. He was that dude. So definitely being in the same locker room as him was crazy. I remember. So we used to play ping pong all the time. We had this ping pong table that we used to get on, and I used to kill him. And so I was leaving one day, and he wanted to get a rematch back. And so I'm walking out. He's like, hey, Jonathan, come back. Let's play ping pong. In my head, I'm like, oh, Reggie Bush knows my name. I'm like, oh, Reggie Bush knows my name. So I think that was probably my biggest welcome to the NFL moment. Like, man, I'm playing ping pong, and I'm killing Reggie Bush in ping pong.
That's dope, bro. And I don't know if you noticed, I'm a huge New Orleans Saints fan. I know you spent a little time down there,
yeah.
but I'm a huge Saints fan. So I was trying to do them same cuts. They just weren't working out quite as well for me.
I feel you.
Now I'm talking to you instead. I mean, I think it's a pretty good deal. I still got a good side of it, but
it always works out.
yeah, it always works out. It always works out. Blessed and highly favored, always, always. So let's talk about it. You spent some time with a few different teams. You know, you started off in Buffalo. You had a few other pit stops, including like Denver, New Orleans, Colts, Lions, Giants. Now we're with Washington.
Yeah.
We're with Washington. So you're the perfect person to ask. How does each locker room vary in terms of how they kind of do the day-to-day? Is it more similar than we realize as fans? Is it, like, how does it differ? Like, is it genuinely like, is the culture really that different at other places, depending on where you go? Just tell us about it.
No doubt. It's definitely different. And I think that's the coolest thing about my experience is that I've been able to go to different teams and see, okay, this is why that team is good, or this is why that team isn't good, And I've been on a lot of good teams. I've been around a lot of good running backs, so I have a great perspective of the whole game. And it's a business too, and sometimes it sucks because sometimes it's just like being at the right place at the right time, or sometimes you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, So it's a little luck that goes into having a successful career because it's a team sport and it takes multiple people to be good. But there's definitely a lot of differences. I used to love being in New Orleans. The locker room in New Orleans was amazing, like great. We used to love going to practice. Like it was fun. It was like I don't know, man. Just the locker room in there was crazy, and that's why we were so good. One year the year that we lost to Minnesota, I thought that was going to be our year. That was a crazy play that we lost on, but that locker room was amazing, man. And we all enjoyed each other. Everybody was friends. Everybody kicked it with everybody. You know what I mean? It didn't matter if you were on offense or defense, or quarterback or a D lineman. Everybody kicked it with each other. And I mean, in Washington, it's similar too. To be honest, we have a really close knit locker room. One of the funnest locker rooms I've had. But our running back room is what's great. All of us, we really enjoy each other, man. JD is hilarious. JD McKissick is one of the funniest people you'll ever meet. So, yeah, I mean, the locker room, most locker rooms, you love the guys, but it's the way that the practices are structured. Some people have longer days. Some people have shorter days. Coach Rivera here is really good at keeping us fresh by our bodies and not overworking us throughout the week. You have some teams that you are going to work throughout the week. If you are going to work, it works for some. It works for some teams. Some teams it doesn't. But there's definitely different mentalities depending on who the head coach is. So
we love Ron Rivera, man. Ron Rivera is a great dude.
He is a great dude. He really is. And he's a player's coach too. And he's gonna get the word from the team and see how a guy's feeling. But it's all about trust. The one thing that you have to have if you're going to be that type of coach is that you have to have guys that know how to work. They're not just saying, "Oh, I'm tired," because they don't want to do something. It's more like, "No, I really need a break. Mentally, I'm still going to be locked in. Mentally, I know, what I have to do. I know my role. I know my job. I know the ins and outs of, the game and the game plan. But you still have to make sure that you have those guys that they're going to be locked in, but you still want to keep them fresh, So I think some of those teams that work physically try to feels like overwork. Maybe they don't trust the hunger of the people on their team, and they're trying to create that edge and they're trying to show people how bad you need it and how much attention to detail that you need to pay. But I love that Coach Rivera is a player's coach.
Yeah, most definitely. And how does it feel at kind of like this point in your career that like you could be like that veteran presence in the locker room that like dudes are coming to like B-Rob, like tell us about B-Rob. Yeah. Tell us about y'all's connection a little bit. I know you said that y'all's running back room is super close and y'all are loaded too, by the way. Like y'all got some
no doubt
dogs. Tell us about B-Rob. And man, I mean, I'm inspired by Brian Robinson. I mean, we know the incident that happened at the beginning of the year, and then he came back, bro, and he came back like he.
Yeah, real talk, for real. B-Rob is a beast, man, for real. The crazy thing is that like, this is his personality. This is how tough of a dude he is. I heard he got shot And the first thing that I heard when he got shot, well, first they said that he was good, he was stable. He got shot in the leg, and he was gonna survive. But I'm like, somebody probably tried to rob him, and he said no. Like he's not going with it. So he's like, nah, that's not gonna happen. Like I don't care if you got a gun or not. No, like so that's his mentality. He's just a tough dude, but he actually is he's a funny dude too. He's not just this macho man all the time. He's funny too. We joke a lot in our running back room, man. I love B-Rod. It's like a little brother to me. Like I said, our whole running back room is really close. Like for real. Like we really are boys. Like we really hang out outside of the facility and practice. Like we really have a true bond. I think that's why we had success. I think that helps us on the field. It helps us root for each other. We have a friendly competition where we all talk shit to each other, but it's in a friendly way. So it's motivating. It's motivational. But it's still that kind of keep you on your edge, kind of keep you on your toes type of love. So, hey, I love those guys, man, for real.
We're gonna have to do a podcast with the whole Washington Commanders running back room. It sounds
like. That's gonna be fun. You need to get JD on here. Right. JD McKissick is probably one of the funniest people I've ever met.
Put the word in for me.
I got you.
Tell him to retweet this for me real quick. But well, let's talk about it again. I mean, you've gotten to obviously play alongside some incredible players throughout your NFL career. I ask this question to every single athlete I get on my show. Who is the best player? You can list a couple names if you need to. I'll let you cop out a little bit. But who's the best player you ever played with and against in your career? It could be all the way down to little gritters, man. It ain't got to be NFL. Who's some of the all-time football career best player you played with and against?
Man, that's tough. I mean, definitely in the NFL because I got to play with. I mean, I got drafted to Buffalo and we had LaShawn McCoy, Reggie Bush. Then I went to Denver for a couple weeks, and they had Jamal Charles that was there, who is the all-time great. I go to New Orleans. They got Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. I got to play with Adrian Peterson. So I've played with a lot of good guys. For me, and I think the timing at the time that I was there with that person, I was amazed by what they were doing. It was crazy. Like just to watch it in real time to see what he was doing was crazy. And that's Alvin Kamara. I mean, I was there his rookie year, his second year, and it was just crazy. I mean, definitely because, and no disrespect to fans, but when you're watching the game, sometimes you don't always know the detail of the play. Like if a play doesn't work, you don't know what the play was supposed to happen. It's just gonna be, the running back did this or this, or he didn't get any yards, he got hit in the backfield, but you don't know why he did. You don't know if it was his fault or if the scheme was, you don't know how he's being coached to look at it, what he's being taught to aim at, his aiming points, all that type of stuff. So to be in that room and to see, the detail of him doing what he was supposed to do, and then what he did after. Like what he did off of that was crazy. I'm watching like, oh, this dude is going crazy. Like it was just amazing to watch. It was definitely as a fan of running backs. I love watching guys that, you can see the detail in their run. And Alvin was definitely at the time that he was doing that, it was crazy to me. So he's a really good player. The best player that I played against.
Is there one dude that just like hit you and you're like, all right, I'm gonna remember that one? There's just so many good ones, bro. There's so many.
Yeah, it is, man. Best player that I played against. That's tough. That's tough, man. Because I mean, there's so many freaks of nature in football now. You got Micah Parsons. You got Myles Garrett. Who I just played back-to-back weeks. Who's really good? Who I was like, woof, this dude is really a baller. I can't even think of his name right now, which is bad. 54 for San Fran.
Oh, Fred Warner.
Fred Warner. Oh, he's a beast. He's a beast. it's a lot of good guys, man. To be honest, I can't just single out one guy. There's a lot of good guys that's on defense. I can't single out one guy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. You ready for this one? So tell us about a time you had to overcome adversity. It can be on the field or off, and how you overcame it.
I mean, what we talked about earlier, the injury that I had as a senior going into my senior year, that was adversity for me for sure. And like I said, I wish I would have handled it better initially, but I got over it just really digging into my faith with God, and realizing that things are still going my way, and I mean, the best thing that I got from it was that you can't control, you're going to go crazy trying to control everything in your life, and you got to have faith. You got to trust God and trust that his path is going to be the best path for you. And that just because right now it doesn't seem like it's going the way that you want it to doesn't mean that it isn't. And just enjoy the moments. You can't try to, obviously you have to go through life with some sort of plan and some pathway, but it's not going to go that way, and you just have to enjoy the moments and enjoy it, because the more positive that you are and the more that you're enjoying where you are, doors will open that you didn't even expect to open, because we can't see the future. You don't know how the next day is going to go. And so you being in a good mood, you having that positive mindset is going to put you in positive situations, is going to ultimately lead you further than what you even wanted and thought of, So I think going through that taught me, and it put me in a better position going forward. Now I can teach my kids that and let them know, hey, man, don't worry about, you're still going your way. It's not going to always go perfect, but you're blessed, dude. Keep moving, keep going forward, enjoy your life, have fun, because as a parent, that's all you want for your kids, is for them to enjoy their lives, be happy, So I think having kids definitely showed me that too, for sure.
I'm about to have my first one in June.
Yeah, man, dude, it's amazing. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but it gives you a lot of perspective, though, dude. For real,
I'm
it gives you a
excited.
lot of perspective, and it makes life so much more real. And you realize all the stuff that you used to worry about, it's like that stuff don't even matter. It doesn't matter. Because it gives you that perspective of you are a parent, and then you see how your parents see you. And it's like, man, I can't be unhappy because I know that my parents want me to be happy, and nothing really is going bad for me. You know what I mean? Nothing really is. It might not be going exactly how you want it to go, but life is great. You know what I mean? Life is good. So it definitely gives you an extra perspective. Are you having a boy or a girl?
I don't know yet. I'm actually finding out on Friday. On Friday, I'll know.
Okay, that's exciting, man. I
I'll
got
tell
four
you.
sons. I got 4 sons.
Yeah, that's
so
dope.
I love it, man. For real. Definitely having sons, because it makes me be better, because I got to show them what I want them to do. So they hold you accountable for sure.
Yeah.
Your kids definitely hold you accountable.
Hey, maybe next year, me and my little son will be watching Jonathan Williams on TV real quick.
Hopefully.
I got one last question for you. What is one piece of advice that you want to give to our listeners?
A piece of advice. The biggest thing that I would want to tell people is just really what I've been saying all day. You can have a plan, set a plan, and try to follow that plan. But if it doesn't go exactly to, what you thought it was going to be like, it doesn't mean that it's not going your way. Have that faith in God. And God is going to lead you to, God is going to show you. If you ask for something and you go through a difficulty or you go through a hard time, maybe that hard time is building you to lead you to where you want it to be. But you just didn't see it because we're humans. We're only humans. We can't see the future. So, it's about having that faith and just knowing that God is going to lead you there, whether it's tough, whether it's a difficult time or not. Continue to go forward, continue to have that positive mindset and be excited and be happy and enjoy your life and rub off on others and help other people and be in the moment. And your life is going to be great. When you're in the moment, everything is good. It's when you start trying to think about the next day or a year later, or, oh, this plan is not going according to plan, I have to do this by, man, just live every day as the day, because you don't know what's going to happen the next day. So you got to appreciate the moments that you're in right now.
Facts. Jonathan, thank you so much, man, for taking the time and talking to me today, man. I I made myself better just by listening to you today, and I hope all the people listening is going to feel the same way.
I hope so too.
But man, where can we find you out on social media real quick?
J Will Part 2.
There it is.
On Instagram and Twitter. So
I'll make sure I plug it in the description of this. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. I can't wait to see, what God has in plan for you in your future, my man. So thank you so much for hopping on.
no problem. Thanks for having me, bro.